us on the show to share in some thoughts about the kind of trading day we've seen today and also the outlook in the near to medium term. And Deven, hi, good afternoon. Thanks so much for your time. But Deven, by now, it would have been assumed, one would assume that this entire tariff overhang would largely be priced into the kind of fear that we were expecting to see, because more or less we were expecting this additional 25% rate to play out, the tariff to play out, and that it has in terms of the announcement that we've received. Still, some negativity is what we're seeing in the markets, but it's not a lot as well on the other side. So, what do you have to make of the market move today? And do you believe that this kind of cut that we've seen, less than a percent of a cut, is the best that we could be losing on the back of these tariffs in terms of market momentum?
Yeah, good afternoon. Well, as I see it, I think there are two pertinent issues which have applied the brakes as far as I think the market is concerned by the investors in participations as well. The first, of course, I think is the tariff-related challenge that we all are talking about. And the second is domestic-driven mode, which is a good news as well as a little bad news in the near term. The good news is that I think the GST rate coming down is promising to increase the consumption in the second half of the financial year. And the bad news is that I think in the month of August, September now, I think we are likely to see a relative slowdown in offtake because of the possible GST cut, I think, in particularly discretionary products. So I guess I think that market is temporarily applied brakes as far as I think the further buying activity is concerned on various counters, because September ended result could possibly show up relatively weaker performance, which otherwise was not anticipated up till now. I think due to this GST related break, as well as I think some part of the disturbance could come due to the tariff related issues. But as I see it, I think this could be a temporary phenomenon. This could be, I think, an opportunity for those who want to take a position in the market when it goes sideways or it goes downwards in some of the counters.
Okay, so that's the strategy for the near to medium term. But Deven, if you talk about some sectors that are in focus, big cuts are being seen on Nifty Realty today. Pharma is also tanking. But pharma as a sector, while we have this 50% fixed number now for overall tariffs, for pharma, for at least the India export of it, we don't have a fixed number as of yet. Other than the kind of move that we've seen on pharma today, do you believe pharma could be a safe space, at least for the time being, to shelter from this tariff impact?
Well, yes, I think to a greater extent, yes. And particularly those companies which are into generics, but they're in specialty generics or complex generics, I think they would be relatively more safe bet to take. The companies which are into the CDMO business and which are also into the API supply business, I think they could be relatively safe as well. So to a greater extent, yes, I think that would be a good choice to make, at least in some cases. Wouldn't generalize this entire format as far as the pharma sector is concerned, but I believe that I think selective companies could possibly have a better approach, I think, to talk about going forward. One step at a time, not immediately very gung-ho about buying into any of the stock, because valuation-wise, they're reasonably priced. But should the price cut come in into some of these counters, there could be a buy opportunity.
So that's the take on pharma. Deven, what about your take on autos? And from autos, I mean both the two-wheelers and four-wheelers. Today we have some news flow coming in. Ola Electric is a buzz today. They've received the PLI certification for their Gen 3 scooter portfolio. And on the back of this, they expect profitability boost from Q2 onwards. So that is positive commentary coming in from Ola. Positive news for that stock doing well. And of course, from the four-wheeler space, you have Maruti Suzuki in focus today, wherein PM Modi has inaugurated their first EV, the e-Vitara. Deven, overall thoughts on the auto space right now? Because even that rare earth mineral issue with China seems to be sorted for now.
Yes, absolutely. I think and we remain distinctly confident about the auto scoring higher numbers in this current financial year. As I said, that I think 1 month could be a little bit disturbing month because of the GST related anticipation price reduction. But otherwise, I believe that I think the autos are in for a good shape as far as I think the outlook is concerned. We believe that the electric vehicles certainly would have relatively higher amount of attraction. The demand pull will be significantly higher. and both in two-wheeler as well as in four-wheeler. And at the same time, in IC business also, particularly hybrids, which Maruti's have been very successful with it along with Toyota. I think they are likely to show relatively better performance with a separate categorization of vehicles that they have shown. So yes, auto along with auto ancillary, we remain cautiously optimistic as far as outlook is concerned. Fortunately, the valuation wise, in some of the counters, we are getting an opportunity currently at current levels.
From a market perspective, the first of the offering from Maruti stable when it comes to their e-SUV portfolio, something which Tata Motors and M&M have already captured really well. How do you think the composition and the domination of market share within this e-SUV space is going to pan out? And from an investor's angle, who do you think will stand to be a winner?
Well, I don't think that the competition matters as much as the opportunity is currently. Frankly, I think the early starters like Tata Motors, followed by the Mahindra and Mahindra, and now I think Maruti. I believe that I think the market is wide open for this kind of players as far as electric vehicles concerned. In fact, the very fact that the growth rate in electric vehicle is maybe more than double compared to the IC vehicle growth rate that we are experiencing currently is suggesting that I think the business environment remains absolutely very convincing. The challenge would be if Maruti could be a disruptor by way of bringing down the price. The battery cost is not in control of most of the players, and that's the reason for which I think the vehicles are slightly expensive. But in my viewpoint, I think going forward, if the battery cost comes down, in my viewpoint, I think the electric vehicle offtake would be significantly higher. And that's what I think I would like to probably imagine. Going forward, we are going to see this kind of traction as far as the cost coming down for the battery. And electric vehicle is the way to go. Mahindra and Mahindra is definitely, I think, scored over everybody with the born electric vehicle that they have brought in. I think today Tata Motors and Maruti, both of them are bringing the electric vehicle on the ICE platform. In my viewpoint, I think if they end up bringing up the born electric vehicle platform, it could be, I think, a different game altogether. Let's wait and see. But I think the prospects remain really very convincing at current levels.
Okay, we'll wait and watch.
Standing because festivities are the time when you do see heightened activity and promotional activity at that from most of these QCom and ECom players as well. Who do you think is going to win the race? So far it has been eternal all the way. It's only a duopoly that we have within the listed space, but do you think Swiggy can also catch up, because that's where you still have valuation comfort?
The one who is going to make less amount of losses is going to be the winner. That is very clear. I think these guys are in the process of delivering the products. I think in a quick commerce manner, whatever we call it as. I think they use still burning a lot of cash, and I think would eagerly await for Reliance's strategy to basically succeed in this kind of environment, because they have integrated themselves with the Kirana marts in their own stores in such a manner that they probably, I think, do not have the same legacy issue which I think most of the other quick commerce players are having in the e-commerce side of creating dark stores, etc., because they have got the supply chain logistic in place. So to a greater extent, I think they're relatively better off. The last mile connectivity is also expected to be better, because I think that the connectivity with the Kirana merchants and the local stores is extremely high. So in my viewpoint, I think both the Blinkit as well as Instamart or Swiggy, I think we will face probably the real test once I think JioMart enters into commerce in a decisive manner. They already entered into it, but in a decisive manner, they penetrate. I think that would be the real time of taste. I think that we'll get as far as I think the profits are concerned for these players in the market.
So just like that e-SUV category, even quick commerce is going to be up and buzzing, and all eyes are going to be on who actually takes the baton ahead from there. But Deven, thanks so much for your time and appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Right, let's move